Hello again. There's been a couple of interesting UK inflation reports out this week. Earlier in the week we heard that inflation is easing in the UK, whilst the Bank of England have said that they expect inflation to remain above their 2% target for the foreseeable future. To find out what this means for the sterling, I've been speaking to Alistair Cotton from Currencies Direct. What do you make of the direction of the sterling at the moment? We've had a couple of inflation reports out this week. The latest from the Bank of England saying that it's likely to remain above the target of 2%. What does that mean for sterling, and what does that mean for potential QE further down the line?
Well, inflation falling is a sign that there's going to be more room for QE going forward. We saw from the Bank of England minutes today there's still a 6-3 split between the MPC members, with the governor on the losing side again. I think as we look forward to the new governor, the fact that inflation is falling is going to give him more scope to be quite increasingly dovish, and it's going to give him that flexibility to take on that mandate. I think it's needed really, because the UK economy is still not doing very well.
Yeah, but again, I keep going back to this idea that Mark Carney is going to come in and put MPC members' fingers in vices to try and make them change their mind. Do you think he can be that effective in coming in and trying to introduce more QE?
I think central banking at the moment is mostly about mind tricks rather than actual policy. So I think if the market believes something and the central bank is aware of that, then they have to run with it. Even he may be hawkish, we don't know, but the sort of the act that he's putting on is going to be increasingly dovish, and the market seems to like it. So I would think he's going to have to follow through with that at the moment.
One of the things, if I put a personal angle on this, I'm going on holiday to Sardinia in the summer, looking forward to it. Yeah. How much is my euro going to buy when I finally get there in July?
Well, possibly significantly less than it is at the moment. Unfortunately, the euro is not really doing a great deal in terms of overall, but against sterling, looking quite decent bets, and because the dollar is doing very well ahead of the Fed announcement this evening, I would think, unfortunately, sterling continuing to weaken against the euro.
But if a year or two ago, we'd always talk about the currency market being an ugly contest. If we take that concept still, surely sterling is still slightly less uglier than the euro.
I think there's a bit of a strange relationship, in the sense that if you imagine a spotlight swinging round, the spotlight is not on the euro at the moment, so the market is not focusing on all the data, particularly as much as it is in, should I say, on the UK. That's going to swing back round again, and the currency markets will respond. But at the moment, I think there's more focus on the data over in the UK, and that's reflecting a lower pound, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a few months since we spoke, but back then you were saying you expected the cable to drop to 150, which is pretty much where it dropped to.
Yeah.
So where does it go from here?
Well, if you look at the IMF report this morning, they changed their language quite significantly. It was quite cutting of George Osborne's economic policy. That has been tapered back. It was reasonably positive. But when you looked at the press conference afterwards, they were still pushing the same line, that fiscal policy is not in the right place. They need to invest in infrastructure, and I think that they are correct, in my opinion. Austerity needs to be scaled back somewhat for us to get out of this problem. Consumers are still deleveraging as well, and until that deleveraging process is over and we get a bit more of a fiscal push, I think the UK is going to sort of continue to bump along this bottom.
Yeah, but in terms of the actual currency rates, are we going to see the cable break below 150?
I think it's very likely. I think it's very likely to break. Yeah, ahead of the either ahead of or during this meeting tonight. I think it's very likely that we'll see one below 150. There looks to be a lot of support below it. So whether we get a sustained move below it or we rebound, I don't know at this stage. But I think it's highly likely that we'll very test that level.
Sure, and I just want to quickly move on to the euro dollar, because that has really been quite a stagnant pair for such an important pair as well, stuck in this range 130 to 132.
Yeah.
The next big move, are you expecting it to be higher or lower?
That is almost entirely dependent on what the Fed says. I think that there's some momentum behind this dollar move, so I wouldn't be surprised if it goes lower. But on the pacing of it depends on how the Fed words tonight's release, whether they're going to talk about really tapering off those asset purchases or not. We'll just have to see. Unfortunately, it's highly uncertain because we're in such uncharted territory in terms of monetary policy.
Well, thanks so much to Alistair. Stay tuned to Dukas Copy TV for more interviews. But from the City of London, goodbye for now.